and welcome. Today we are doing something a little bit different. This is very weird for me because I'm not playing anything or even watching a speed build. I'm just looking at my Word document with some notes because today I am doing a what happened to Rosie and Ivan after the jungle, while you guys look at some screenshots of our whole trip to the jungle, and then we're going to talk about my final thoughts, opinions, feelings on the Jungle Adventures pack and compare it to some of the other packs that we've previously had that were a bit more adventure-y based. So, here we go. So, we'll start with Ivan. So, Ivan did decide to go home from the jungle when they finished their little secret agent mission. And him and his partner, his husband, they adopted a daughter and things went great for them. He went to back running the restaurant. They introduced some new kind of foods from Salvadorado and that sort of stuff. And so it worked out quite well for Ivan in the end. Rosie did decide to stay in the jungle. She was still quite heartbroken over her fiancé, and her ex-fiancé decided that he really did love her, and so he went to the jungle to go get her, and she ended up coming back with him, and they got married, and she's now a grandmother. So that's really cute, and she gets to see all of her grandkids and live with her children and that sort of stuff. So that's very nice for her. So things worked out in the end for both of our Sims and that sort of stuff. If you do want to see the screenshots of all of Rosie getting collected from the jungle, they are on my Tumblr for the Peanut Legacy Generation 2, probably towards the end. So let's move on to final thoughts. Okay, I think I'm going to start with Creator Sim. I really like the Creator Sim in this pack. I would have liked more for kids and toddlers. I feel like they were a bit more geared towards young adults and adventuring, but I kind of get why they did what they did, because obviously you don't really want to take your baby to a temple. So it didn't make much sense, but it would have been nice to see a couple more items for them. I don't know. They could have... Can you imagine a little toddler in one of those cute little hats that they had, the little safari hats? That would have been adorable. But didn't happen. Thanks, EA. But that's okay. I'm sure there's a mod to convert it. I really liked how they had quite a nice balance between clothes you could wear in your everyday life when you were just going around doing your normal sim stuff, and stuff that you could wear when you're probably out in your jungle, your hiking boots, your thick pants and that sort of stuff. So I think they had quite a nice mix of that sort of stuff. So I was impressed with Cass. I gave it I don't know, I'm not going to rate it. But Cass was good for me. Cass was good. Build mode is what we're going to talk about next, and this is my favorite part of the pack. The build mode, or the plants, I think they're amazing. They're just the best. I think they're really diverse. They're really cool. They've got some really nice colors on them. They work well in most places. Like, you could have like an overgrown grassy area in, say, Willow Creek, or you could have a kind of oasis in Oasis Springs, around some nice water and stuff. So I think they look really nice and they work well in all of the worlds we currently have. The wallpapers and floors, they're pretty good too. I like them, and I just broke something. I broke a toy from a Kinder Surprise. I'm not going to play with that anymore. That's okay. I can put him back together. I tend to fiddle when I talk. But so I like them. They're all good, but I feel like they don't always apply themselves to other outside of the jungle use. You could probably use some of them quite easily in homes that are in Oasis Springs, and they would fit in quite well in that kind of style of home, but not so much in like Windenburg. But I think they're good. I like it, but the plants are really the highlight for build mode for me. So now buy mode. I think buy mode was good too. I quite like it. They added some cool new items. That sink that had like, it's a wooden base and then it's got a glass basin with the little gold tap. I think that was perfect. That was beautiful. I would love to see that in some more modern swatches. So instead of having like a wooden base, we have like a stone base. I think that would work really well. Or seeing like something that we could like, just the basin part that you could like sit on top of a counter. I think that would look amazing, but I'm pretty happy with it. I think majority of the items go really well in pretty much all styles of homes. It doesn't just have to be jungle homes. The color swatches are quite nice. They may not work too well in modern homes because they do have a lot of wooden tones in them, but I think they were really good. They were quite nice to me and they fit my style that I personally build with. So now we've kind of talked about all the objects we got in the pack. So I'm going to talk a bit about the world. Selva Dorado was stunning. The views, the plants, the wildlife, all the little details that they had. They had the little alligators in the river. They had snakes slithering on the ground. That was all really well done. The audio matched perfectly, it was quite nice. It was immersive, and I quite liked how they handled the gates with the chance cards to kind of move around the jungle instead of having just like a loading screen. I thought that flowed quite nicely with having to break the vines. I thought that was a really good idea and it made the world flow quite smoothly. So that's all I'm really going to say about the world. So, yeah, gameplay. That's the part where the pack really falls down for me. I was disappointed here. If I'm being honest, we'll talk about the positives first, and then we'll move on to some stuff that did disappoint me, and I feel like this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but I don't know. I feel like I want to be honest in this. If I'm doing a review, I don't know. I don't know if it's really a review. It's more of an overview, but I don't know. I want to be honest. I don't want to say I loved every part of it if I didn't. So here we go. So I think the new skills are great. The archaeology and the culture skill are really, really good. Couple things to note. I thought the whole revealing the relics and the artifacts was really fun, but it did get a bit tedious after a little while because you were just constantly just like waiting like 3-4 sim hours for your sim to just like dust the thing. I thought that took a little while. I would have liked to see maybe you did have that option, but maybe once you finish the aspiration or something, you could get like an item that you could kind of like the cupcake machine or something like that, where you could just put your artifact in there and it goes like and it like scrubs it all clean and it comes out authenticated. I know that's not exactly how you would do it in real life because you obviously have to be delicate with the artifacts, but it's The Sims, so we carry it around in our backpack with our 50 grilled cheese. Like it's not really accurate. So I would have liked to see something to maybe speed it up because it does get a little bit tedious. And the culture skill, I liked it, but I thought it was too easy. I would have liked to see it expanded on more. By maybe having some lectures to attend, reading about local culture, maybe like lectures similar to how we've got yoga classes in Spa Day. You could pay like $110 to maybe go on a tour or like a lecture with a local sim, and they could kind of teach you some stuff and you could learn some little tidbits or something like, we have the greenest alligators in Selva Dorado versus anywhere else in the world. I don't know. Something like that. Just little fun things to kind of boost your skill. And I would have liked to see a bit more landmarks around the place of cultural significance. So like we had the The statue lady, she was very cool. I like that you could like show your respects to her. I forget what she's called. But you know the one next to the bar. And I would have liked for there to be, I don't know, a bit more, I don't know, just a bit more expanded on. It felt a bit kind of, you could just like drink drinks, eat food, and, you know, talk to locals, and you were like an expert on the culture. Like, I would have been a bit nice to see that expanded, or maybe you could learn, maybe you should have had to learn the local dance separately. Maybe there could have been a dance class, or, you know, maybe you had to learn the local ingredients separately by asking the locals about it. Some kind of a bit more in detail, instead of just knowing it by just like saying, hi, can you tell me about the temple? Hi, can you tell me a folk tale? Hi, can you tell me about the jungle? Like, that's all we did to get our skill up to max. So I felt like that could have been expanded on a bit more. I don't know, that's just me. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was a clever idea. I just felt like it was a bit crammed in, squished, not as expanded upon as it should have been. Relics. I thought the relics were a really cool idea. They were fun. I liked that there was good ones and there was bad ones and that sort of stuff. I would have preferred like a little hint, or like, you know how when you get chance pop-ups, like, you know, saying you've taken a screenshot or something in the top right corner, the little notifications. I would have preferred one of those, that, or maybe like a how-to guide on one of them, because they don't really explain them much in the game, and I still don't really know what they do or how many there is or what's going on. I would have preferred like a, even if they incorporated that to the culture skill, like as like you could ask the locals about like the relics, and they could say, oh, you know, there's a relic of blessing and there's a relic of gloom, and, you know, they have these sort of effects, and this is where you go to like, I don't know, cure the effects or something. I don't know, but something kind of like that. We did kind of touch on it a bit earlier, but I have written down here that I really liked the chance cards with moving between the different places when you break the vines. I thought that was fun. I liked that how when you had different items or different skills, it would affect your chances. So it was a bit like a choose your own story, and I think that was a good idea, and it was nicely implemented, and that's probably the highlight of the gameplay features for me, that worked really well. So now on to the stuff that I was disappointed in. So the curse. I was disappointed in the curse. It was very easy to cure. So you got cursed when you went into the temple and you did something with a trap. And when you clear a temple, you get, what I observed, you got anywhere between $700 to $2,000 from clearing a temple. But the cure costs you $1,000. So pretty much you can get cured with no real penalty, and it wasn't really threatening. I would have liked to see like a, you know, catch this fish and, you know, maybe find this plant and get some bone dust that you find in the temple and come talk to the locals, or put it all in the basket and leave it at the feet of the statue, or something a bit more, I don't know, a bit more like home remedy, ancient like cure versus let's go to the computer, spend $1,000 and just get an antidote. I felt like that was a bit too easy, and it kind of pays for itself if you finish the temple. So that's yeah, a bit disappointing for me. I don't know. I think it was okay though. I quite liked it. I mean, I didn't like it, but you know, it could have been better, but at least it was fairly easy to get, like if you didn't want to kill your Sims, which a lot of people don't. So I kind of see why they did it that way, but like, I don't know. it was a bit disappointing for me. I would have preferred it to be a bit trickier. So, we did briefly mention the temple. The temple was a disappointment to me. It was a disappointment. I liked how they randomized it. I think it was a good base. It was a really good base. But it still was disappointing because you had like 5 main traps. You had the bowls. You had the dart traps that you have to reach into. Well, not dart traps, but the traps you need to reach into. You had the guy you had to talk to. The skeleton warriors, like the guy, the little thingy, and then a switch you could stand on. So yeah, 5. 5 different things you could examine pretty much, and that was my problem. You just had to examine them, and then you'd click on them, and you know, if you'd bought all the stuff with you, like they tell you to when you go in the jungle, like the fire foam, the anti-shock stuff, the only real threatening one is the poison dart, which, you know, I mentioned just previously that it was very easy to cure that. And so I felt like it wasn't really a threat if you were sensible. And I didn't find it very interactive because, like, you just examined and then you examined and then you examined and then you'd got all the 3 traps in the room, you'd examine them, and it would either say, okay, well, this one's right, and you click on it and that's it, you're on to the next room. And or, you know, you'd examined all 3 and then maybe 1 or 2 aren't right, and then you just pick randomly until you get it, with no real repercussions. So I didn't find it was very interactive. I appreciated that they randomized it and it was different each time, because it would have been very boring if it wasn't. But I feel like once you've run the temple maybe 1 to 5 times, it loses its luster. It loses its shine. It's not interactive. You just click 2 buttons and you're done with that trap. So that was my gripe with it. So how does it compare to the previous? Like, how does Jungle Adventures compare to the previous kind of adventure packs? So considering Jungle Adventures is a game pack and not an expansion pack, I figured it wouldn't be fair to put it up just against World Adventures and Sims 2 Bon Voyage. So we're going to talk a little bit about Outdoor Retreat. So let's pretend that Jungle Adventures and Outdoor Retreat are one as an expansion pack, because that's roughly similar in price. So in Outdoor Retreat, you got a great world with great sounds and visuals. You got some bear costumes, which were kind of funny, with the whole, like, the bear moodlet. It was like, this is unbearable, and they were tense, and that was kind of funny. You had camping with the new social event. You had Weenie Roast, like the Weenie Roast social event. You had roasting marshmallows around the fireplace. You had the herbalism skill. You had lots of new collectibles, like fish, bugs. You had a whole new bug select. I don't know if you had a whole new section, but there was lots of new collectibles. You had the hermit. It had a great aesthetic vibe. I'm sure there's lots of other Outdoor Retreat reviews, but if you've played it, you probably have. Maybe you've seen someone else play it. I don't know. But I feel like it's quite a good pack. I quite like it. I probably like it a bit more than Jungle Adventures, if I'm being honest, but let's, move on from that. So if we say Jungle Adventures and all the content from Jungle Adventures and all the content from Outdoor Retreat, let's pretend that's one pack. So we can, I say fairly, you know, with the price considering, compare it to the previous adventure packs like Sims 3 World Adventures, which I'm going to start with. So it's currently about $20 US. I'm going to assume it was around $50 US when it came out. I really don't remember, and I was clinging to Sims 2 at that point, so I didn't buy Sims 3 till after Into the Future was already out. So that was the last pack. So I don't really remember. So, what did Sims 3 World Adventure have to offer that Jungle Adventures doesn't really? So, there was a new life state, the mummies. I suppose they're fairly similar to the Temple Guardian, the Skeleton, and the Curse, so I guess you can kind of do this. Again, we had lots of new collectibles and items, including plants, fish, metals, gems, books, and scooters. We had 3 new skills: photography, martial arts, and nectar making. We had 3 new traits, which I didn't get the names of, but there was 3 of them. There was a new lifetime wish slash aspiration, whatever you want to call it. There was a new death type, the Mummy's Curse, which I think had a bit more of a complicated way to cure. I think you had to actually finish a temple to get cured from the Mummy's Curse versus just buying the antidote like you do in Jungle Adventures. And then there was the worlds. In Egypt, there was 10 explorable tombs. In France, there was 4 explorable tombs. In China, there was 6 explorable tombs. That's 20 explorable tombs with different traps, and they kind of interlaced because you needed I think it was the Pangu axe from the China tomb to actually break some of the stuff in the Egypt tomb. So you did quite a lot of stuff. They were all quite, I would say, they had their similar. They were similar. The temples were similar, but they were different because you had to kind of, it was a bit more puzzly. Instead of just examining the trap, you would have to go, okay, right, so there's fire coming out of the ground. I need to push this statue to block it so we can get past. And I felt like that was a bit more interactive, and you actually felt like you were adventuring because you were actually doing something instead of just examining something. It was a bit more of a puzzle, and I really appreciated that. So that's, yeah, I quite liked it. So now let's talk about Sims 2 Bon Voyage. I would say if we're comparing Jungle Adventures and Outdoor Retreats as one pack, it could probably match Sims 2 Bon Voyage. So what did Sims 2 Bon Voyage have to offer? This was quite a long time ago. So what did they have? They had new collectibles. They had a beach lot, so your Sims could like go to the beach. I'm pretty sure they could sunbake as well and go swimming in the ocean, that sort of stuff. They had new NPCs, which I'll talk a little bit about once we talk about a bit more about the worlds. All of the worlds, you can take tours. There was new foods, kind of touristy stuff you could buy. So the world you could adventure. Temuzuki Village, I'm not sure if I'm saying that. They had 1 secret lot and 1 secret NPC that you could find and that sort of stuff. You could learn teleportation from ninjas. There was hot springs. There was mahjong, Zen gardens, and you could learn Tai Chi. Then there was Twiki Islands, Twiki, I don't know. I can't pronounce things, I apologize. There was 1 secret lot, and again, a secret NPC that tied to that lot. You could explore a pirate ship. You could learn fire and hula dancing. This is where the beach lot was located. And you could get a voodoo doll. So that's what you could do there. And then there was 3 lakes, praise something I can pronounce. There was 1 secret lot, and this is where Bigfoot lived. He was kind of like a new life state in the game, so I'm just going to mention that. This is like where he lived. You could do axe throwing, camping, log rolling. You could learn a chest pound and a slap dance, and you could examine tree rings. So I feel like compared to interactiveness, this is probably quite similar to what we have in The Sims 4. So I feel like it's fairly similar. You can learn a couple new things, a couple new skills. There's a couple new like kind of games and stuff like that. So if I had to compare it, I would say The Sims 4 Jungle Adventures and Sims 4 Outdoor Retreat is very similar to The Sims 2 Bon Voyage. There's obviously different items and things you can do here, but if you had to compare them, I would say that these two are fairly evenly matched. Sims 3 World Adventures, I would say, probably has more content. That's just how I would say it. So, what would have made Jungle Adventures better for me? I just kind of wanted to mention the other packs. We'll talk about what would have made it better in a second. But I wanted to mention the other packs because I feel like everyone really loves Jungle Adventures, I've noticed. So I don't love it. I think it's a good pack and I think it's enjoyable, but I don't love it like everyone else does. So I kind of just wanted to go back and compare it and talk about like what we used to have in other games and just kind of see, well, maybe, you know, why didn't I like it as much? And I think it's really because it didn't feel as interactive to me as The Sims 3 World Adventures. We didn't have to think. We just had to click and examine. And that was my biggest downfall in the pack for me. So what would have made it better? So I just mentioned more puzzles. I'm fine with the randomization that they had, but I really don't like the examine to win. It doesn't work for me. It's, you know, not very fun. I would have preferred something, and even finding the temple was fairly easy. I would have preferred something like you'd have to talk to an NPC and he sends you to a location, like meet me at the secret drop-off under the tree next to the lake at 2 a.m. And he gives you a clue and tells you kind of, so it's at least a bit trickier to find it because, like, you're meant to be finding a secret temple in the middle of the jungle and getting artifacts. And, you know, this place obviously is undiscovered for thousands of years, is what I'm imagining. But you just, like, walk into the jungle. It's like, dude, yeah, I could bring my toddler here. Like, you know, my toddler could find this. Like, it's a bit easy. So, overall, if you're looking for a pack to get away, do something new with your Sims, and maybe go once a generation in Legacy as like a family trip or, you know, something like that, I think it's a great pack and it'll probably meet what you're looking for. But if you're looking for a pack that gives you adventure and your Sim to be like, I don't know, a Tomb Raider and that sort of stuff, I really don't think it's the pack for you. It gets repetitive very quickly, even with the temple randomization, just because it's the same few objects, the same few layouts, and you really just examine and then click on the traps. And so it gets quite repetitive to me. You'd probably be better off with something like Sims 3 World Adventures, which, by the way, currently is like $20 US. So if you have Sims 3 and Steam has lots of sales for the Sims 3, I actually picked up all of the Sims 3 packs, like every single one of them, apart from Katy Perry Sweet Treats. They were $5 each and it came to like $105. So, you know, that's... It's not too much. It might be a lot for you, but I'm just saying, you know, they were $5 each. So you could probably, on Steam, pick up Sims 3 Base Game and Sims 3 World Adventures for about $10 if they're on sale. So, like, if you don't have them on Steam, because you have to have the Sims 3 Base Game on Steam to play it with Steam. So that's my recommendation. If you want something adventure-based and puzzly, I would definitely try Sims 3 World Adventures. But if you're just looking for something generic, I think this is a great pack, and, you know, you can go maybe once a generation and it's kind of fun. But otherwise, yeah, go for Sims 3 World Adventures. But is it worth the money? Is Jungle Adventures worth the price tag it has? You know what? I would say yes, it is. Even though I just bagged it out for probably like 20 minutes, I think it's worth the money because if you went to a movie and say the movie's 2 hours and you could spend about the same price that you would spend on buying Jungle Adventures. And if your Sims maybe spend anywhere between 1 to 3 weeks, the pack's already equal to a movie, because it takes about 3.5 hours to play a Sim week, and that's already longer than a movie. So you've already got your money's worth, and that's not even counting like all the cool new build items, all the cool new buy, all the creator Sims that you can just use in your general like normal gameplay. Like, I'm going to use those plants so much. So it was worth it to me, even though the gameplay aspect was a bit disappointing to me. But yeah, that's just kind of like how I feel. I know a lot of other people enjoy it, and I'm sure I've ranted for too long now, but I really wanted to mention the other packs and kind of compare it, so that's just like what we're doing. But yeah, I think that's all I really had to say. I think this pack could have been so much better to me. I think it would have been better as an expansion pack, where they could have really put some detail into it and made it so much more tricky, and had some puzzles and made it a bit more interactive, because to me it was just very dumbed down and just kind of dull. I don't know. But I think I'm going to end it here. I've been ranting for way too long. I'm going to have to make the screenshot stay on screen for so long when I'm editing this. But anyways, so thank you all for watching, and let me know if you would like me to do more series that are based on game packs that we have in the future and stuff like that, and I can give my final thoughts and opinions like this again. And also, let me know if you're not interested, because it is a lot of work for me to do stuff like this. So I'm not going to keep on doing it if no one at all is interested and you're like, oh my god, I've clicked off the video already, please stop talking. And I'm like, wow, let's just keep on talking and talking and talking and talking. But, you know, that's fine. So I'm going to go now. I hope you enjoyed the Jungle Adventures series. I certainly enjoyed playing it. Even with all of its flaws, I wanted so much more out of this pack, and it didn't give it to me. But I really appreciate the time, the work EA put into making it, but it just didn't cut it for me. It was a good pack, it just wasn't the pack I was hoping for. So anyways, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye!